With cooler weather on the horizon, what better way to refresh your fall wardrobe than with this simple, easy project? I'll show you how to create your own scarf from scratch, but this project also works if you want to breathe new life into a scarf that you already own. Before starting, you'll need to choose your fabric. I recommend any cotton or cotton and linen blend fabric. Anything that feels soft and comfortable against the skin and doesn't have too loose a weave will work well. To keep the scarf simple, we're going to use the selvage edge for the ends of the scarf. Cut the fabric into two 16-inch wide pieces from selvage to selvage. At this point, you can choose the length of your scarf by how much you trim each piece. Trim the selvage from one end of each piece so you'll have one cut edge and one selvage edge. If you choose to make your scarf shorter, you can cut more from one edge of the piece. We'll be sewing the pieces together using a French seam, which hides the seam much better than a regular seam would. For my top thread, I'll be using confetti, a 50 weight Egyptian cotton that has an ultra low lint finish. In the bobbin, I'll use Deco Bob, an 80 weight cottonized polyester. The reason I'm choosing this smaller thread for the bobbin is because it will help reduce the bulk in my French seam, so it lays flatter. Straight stitch down the edge using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Then trim the extra fabric beside the stitching to help reduce the bulk in your seam. Press the seam open with an iron so it lays flat and crisp. Now fold the fabric over so it's laying right sides together and push the seam out, giving it another press with the iron so it's lying flat. I'm now going to sew down the seam with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. When I open it up, the raw edges are tucked away in this pocket, and all that's left is a beautiful French seam. Press it down once again with an iron to one side to make it lie flat. Because I don't want this edge to be lifting up on my scarf, I'm going to hand sew it down by using a blind stitch. Thread your confetti through a sharp needle with an eye just large enough for the thread. Knot the end of the thread and bring it up through the bottom edge of your French seam. Once the seam is stitched down, it will hide the knot. Enter back into the seam right beside your exit point and then bring it back up at 1/2 inch further down. Take a tiny stitch beside the exit point and enter again, pulling through another 1/2 inch further down. Continue this stitch all the way to the end where you can tie it off between the seam to hide the knot. Now that the scarf pieces have been assembled, we can begin the fun part, making the running stitch. The thread I'll be using is called Eleganza. This is a 5 weight pearl cotton that comes in a variety of solid and variegated colors. It's been double gassed, meaning it's incredibly low on lint. This will give my stitches a beautiful clean look, and it is easy to pull through the fabric of the scarf. This thread comes in 3 weights, number 8, number 5, and number 3. You can use any of these or all interchangeably for a variety of textures, depending on how bold you want your stitches to look. For this project, I'll be using a size 3 milliner's needle. This long needle is perfect for running stitches because I can load up several stitches at once, making for faster stitching. If you don't have a size 3 milliner's needle, you can also use a sashiko needle or a number 1 long darner needle. If you have trouble stitching a straight line, draw some lines with a ruler using a piece of chalk or wash away pen to guide you. Thread your needle and tie a knot on the end. Pull the thread up through the back side of the scarf on the end of one of the lines. You'll push the needle in and out of the fabric, loading up several running stitches at once. Then pull the needle through to complete the stitch. Try to keep your stitching even, but even if it isn't perfect, it will still give you a handmade charm that a machine can't replicate. make sure to pull your fabric taut so that the stitching doesn't pull the fabric into ripples. You can make a gradient of color changes, a variegated color, or use a single color depending on the effect you want it to have. Stitch both ends of your scarf to match. The fabric edges will be turned over into a hem, hiding the knots of your stitching. Take the raw edges of your fabric and fold them over 1/4 of an inch to the wrong side of the scarf and press. Now fold them over one more time and stitch it down on your machine, taking 1/4 of an inch seam. Do the same on the other side of the scarf. Just like that, you can give an old scarf a breath of new life or add a beautiful handmade look to a simple new scarf. If you've used chalk, you can remove the markings on the fabric by rinsing your fabric in cold water or brushing it away. I've used a disappearing marker which fades with time. This is an easy and simple way to add texture and interest. You can also replicate the same look on tea towels for another great project idea. Tell us in the comment section below where you would use this technique, or if you've made this project, or you can let us know what video you'd like to see next. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you like this video and hit subscribe for more great tips and tutorials. We'll see you all next time.